And welcome everyone to the Man Cave. My name is Paul Knapp, and I will be your host for tonight's show. This is season number 2, episode number 13, and once again, it is being sponsored by Be a Man Tonight Monday. Tonight's quote for Be a Man Monday: when you come home from work, pick a fight with your wife so you can go to a bar and get hammered. Be a man. You guys are all supposed to laugh at that. That's as good as That's as good as it gets, Stacy. Stacy, that's as good as it gets here, man. So,
Boy.
All right, man. Waiting in the green room is our special guest, artist Larry Selman. Tonight's YouTube channel plug goes to Toy Hype USA. Toy Hype USA. If you haven't checked them out, please do so. I'd like to thank all my subscribers, and 3 of my newest subscribers are Joey Omega, Paulie A. Fontone, and Carlos Edward Reese. Next week, I think our special guest, and I have it listed here. I was going to go over that later, but our special guest next week. Oh, there it is. Some guy named James D. Simone. Anybody heard of him before?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah. All right. So he's our guest for next week. Now, let's see who decided to lower their standards and be on my crew tonight. Got some people in the chat room already. Thank you very much. I went with the states tonight, okay? We're going with the states tonight. So I'm bringing you in first, sir. Coming to us from the great state of Texas, where they use words like y'all and reckon, this is our good friend, Mr. Greg Brown. Thanks for filling in for Mr. Jiggy Magner at the last minute, but I appreciate that.
Not a problem.
All right, moving down the line here, we have somebody coming to us from the only state in the union where you can get frostbite and sunburn in the same week. This is Stacy Armstrong.
Yeah.
Hi, everybody.
Look at the church.
Stacy's on the delay system here. Stacy, are you with us, Stacy?
Yeah, I guess so.
He's right there.
Yeah,
Okay.
I'm here.
Just bob your head up and down. Yeah. Okay. Cool. And here we go. Hailing from the only state that you have to explain to people, I'm not from New York. I'm from upstate. This is Angelo D'Annabelle.
Hey,
D'Annabelle stand-in. This is actually Mike McCarthy. Everybody knows that.
Myron.
I hope Angelo's watching this tonight, so he can say we had to get a quick stand-in for him. So
Hey, I've been dealing with these kids. They've been driving me crazy this week. There's no TikTok, no TikTok in my classroom.
tonight, man.
No Fortnite in my classroom, whatever they call it.
Well, we're not to your what's new in the zoo there, Angelo. So you need to wait a second. Hang on. Still got one more guest. Established here. And from the one state of Mississippi, Minnesota, where they play hockey every day of the week and twice on Sunday, it's Ace. All good. Almost made you a redneck there, brother.
I hope my internet works well tonight. We were having a little issues, so I'm hoping for the best.
You and me both, man. I'm hoping it doesn't do what it did to me last week.
Ruh-roh.
Yeah. But so we do have a good panel of 5 folks that decided to join us tonight, and we got somebody great in the green room. So first, I'm going to go around real quick like we always do and say what's new in your zoo. So Mr. Greg Brown, you were up first. What is new in your zoo?
We just announced last week on our website and Facebook that radioactive guy. I forget what the hell we called the poor guy. He's got that yellow suit. He's got the gas mask, and he actually has. I don't know if you've had. Have you had Brad on yet? Brad Curry.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Twice.
It has its Geiger counter, which to me is the focal point of the set, and it's been really positive. I think we checked all the inventory in today, but later this week we will be announcing some more sets to commemorate the 60th anniversary of G.I. Joe. So expect to see some possible things like a shore patrol and a military police from the U.S. Army. So
very cool.
Yep.
You gave me a sneak peek of those. I didn't want to tell anybody, so I just.
Yeah. I can only share it with a few. I don't want to get the excitement out there too fast. So,
The pictures look pretty good, though.
yeah, thank you. I appreciate it.
And moving to the great state of New York, Angelo D'Annabelle. What do you have to say tonight, Angelo? Are you doing some flocking? More flocking?
Yeah, I got flock coming out of my ears.
You're on spring break, right? Up there in New York? Aren't you on spring break?
Yeah. There's still a lot of snow outside, so I'm having trouble doing my photo stories. But still got flock coming out of my ears. Still got naked GI Joes upside down in boiling pots when my wife gets home. So
Yeah, same story as last week and the week before. I got you. You're playing it well, man. You're playing the part well, Mike.
I feel like he's right here with us.
I know, man. Does that mean we got to pick on Mike instead of?
I can take the heat. Now, what's new in my zoo? I just got these awesome brown jack boots from Cotswold Collectibles. Thank you. Greg.
Thank you.
Yeah, and picked up this White Elephant Toys hat from also from Cotswold, and the Takara style German helmet in an olive drab or army green, and pop that on this my custom World Peacekeeper body with an Expo marker adapter there.
Awesome.
So yeah, just
You're
put
learning
out.
that trick, man.
Yeah, I just figured it out. I was like, for some reason I look at the World Peacekeeper figures, and I've had some of them since 2012, and I just hate the head sculpts. I don't know why. Maybe I just want them to look like GI Joe. But I love the bodies, and that's why I was really excited whenever Arts and Science Lab, or whatever they are, Arts and Science Museum, made that Action Man set, the 50th or 60th or whatever it is, that utilizes the old school GI Joe head with the M&C body. But before they announced that, I did my own mod, and I did a video on it on YouTube, but I can sum it up here in 5 seconds. I just chopped the World Peacekeeper head off at the neck, and then I took the top of the Expo marker, was fatter than the bottom, and popped the fat end in the neck, and then it kind of tapers off.
Yeah,
and
man.
the head just fits right on there.
Wow.
And that way, if you got a whole pile of you got to shave the cap a little bit, but I'm not some highly skilled guy. I did it in 5 seconds with an X-Acto knife, and it pops right on there. And that way you can utilize, it's better to buy brand new Elite Brigade bodies from Greg, but if the budget's tight and you already have 1 million World Peacekeeper bodies laying around, you can they'll fit Elite Brigade heads on them, or White Elephant Toys if you do that little adaptation there. But
You see
anyway,
Vince's comment to you? Vincent's
yeah. I see that. Thanks, Chuck. But anyway, I'm rambling like my counterpart, Angelo.
Exactly.
So,
You sound just like Angelo.
So I'll let move on to the next guy.
Right on.
Thanks,
You're the
Angelo.
next guy, Stace. What's up, buddy?
Yeah. Just kind of started back doing a little bit of work again, trying to get caught up. I just brought some of my Joes over here. I brought this right here just to kind of show. This is the Japanese GI Joe that you could get back in, I think this was 82 or 84. It's Godzilla. And as you can see, he's there's a Joe inside of him.
Yep.
So I just thought it was kind of pretty cool.
I love
it's real
that
rubbery,
figure.
and he's got his there. So bendable, pretty cool thing. So,
What figure did he put with it?
but he can come. I mean, you can. He'll come out. So
He
Yeah, what
came
figure?
with
Got
that
the whole
figure.
set.
He came with it.
Right, he came with the figure and everything.
It's a
Correct.
It's a Takara basic kind of common figure, the Takara guy, but he came inside that thing. It's an awesome set.
Yeah, that
One
is
of the
neat.
coolest
Yeah.
Takara things.
I've never seen that. That's absolutely
Tail
amazing.
comes off. You can
Mhm.
take it apart, and he comes out. It's a full body. Yeah, it's really neat. So,
And it's Velcro, how the Velcro
comes
back
off.
sticks up. Yeah, look at that.
Yeah,
Isn't
just
that
all
cool?
comes off.
And it's got a nice face too. See,
He's so pretty.
I sleep with him. He's my little buddy.
You snuggle bunny.
That's
with
it for
him.
me, though.
It's your
Yeah,
That's your Easter bunny.
it is. It is. He was out Sunday. There's blood all over the lawn, but I don't know.
You got him a couple. Oh, funny.
That's cool.
Yeah, you might have. Yeah. And then I brought my talkers. Those are my 67 talkers. I brought them all out, so there's a show. That's it.
Cool beans.
Awesome.
I guess, did we lose everybody?
Did we lose? I'm here. Did we
I'm
lose
here.
Paul?
Yeah,
Maybe we're-
we might have lost Paul, but he'll
think
probably
we probably
be right
lost
back
Paul,
here.
yeah.
So.
All right.
so,
Well, I'll
so
keep
we
talking.
get to look at Stacy for the rest. Yeah, we're stuck on you, Stacy.
Yeah, I guess. So. Yeah, so those these are my restored talkers.
Are you
I
there?
guess I'm up now.
Dude, I just went black. Did everybody like lose connection? Or
We
was it just me?
lost you, Paul.
Did anybody else
Now-
lose? Because I was just sitting here and I was in the green and nobody else was there. I was like, what the fuck's going on?
Well,
Oops.
I could hear Stacy,
think I
but
lost my
Stacy, I
connection.
can't hear Stacy anymore.
Well, Stacy's the only one in the yellow right now. Everybody else is in green, and I was in green, but I was sitting here by myself, so I don't know what happened there, man.
Yeah,
Well, I guess I'm
lost
on
my connection.
TV right
Can
now,
anybody hear me?
so
Yeah, we hear you.
we hear you fine. I assume everyone can hear me. I will talk
Okay.
about what I did
Well, maybe
this
I'm
last
back.
week.
Maybe I'm
Yep. I'm coming in clean and clear. So what I just did is I got done from going to not one, but 2 toy shows in 2 consecutive weekends. I went and started off in Toylanta last Saturday, and then I went and goofed off for an entire week, seeing some amazing collections across the country, and ended up in Xenia, Ohio at the Great Ohio Toy Show where I set up. And that was an experience, man. I've never seen more people at a toy show. There was all kinds of crazy stuff. Yes, World War Drawer. I do have those 65 electronic drawing sets. They're awesome. And I really enjoyed being at Toylanta. I just had a great time, as always. And that was a great show and fantastic friends. And my dad ended up showing up on Saturday or Sunday morning, which was just a treat for me because my dad's never been to a show. And I got to walk him around and introduce him to some folks. And if y'all get to meet him, I thought that was great. He was very impressed with how nice and normal everybody was. So I thought that was pretty cool. And we ended up going to Toccoa on Monday. And if you know Toccoa, if you're familiar with the Band of Brothers show, Mark McGinnis, who's one of the Atlanta club guys, he volunteers out there and was able to get a group of us to get together and go to Toccoa on Monday and get a private tour of that. And that was really pretty cool. It was really pretty neat. It wasn't very big, but it was certainly a fun time, and we got to see it. And there was a group out there training to parachute, and seeing how they were training and all that stuff. I really enjoy Toylanta because or any toy shows, because that's when I can meet anybody that comes in. It's really fun to talk to collectors one-on-one. And I mean, because we all have the same passion as each other, and that's what's the whole joy is that to share in a room and start talking about goofing off. Yeah, did you see Paul? Paul was running around and videotaping. And in fact, we can kind of cover a little bit of business here. Paul did just a wonderful job videotaping the state of the hobby. And I thought he did a wonderful job. And I know Alan was asking how soon we can get that out. I actually have to send the files down to Greg.
Right.
And Greg, I'll try to do that this week.
Okay.
I just got home from last night from Xenia. I went with my buddy Rick Augusta, and I drove up, and we seriously had a great time. Went to Toccoa, went and saw some amazing collections in Ohio. I went to that toy museum, that Star Wars toy museum in Cincinnati. That was really pretty crazy. And really just saw tons and tons and tons and tons and tons and tons of toys, which was fantastic.
Nice.
Thank you. You know, I really enjoyed the State of the Hobby. That was super fun talking and listening to what was going on. I thought Greg did a great job of hosting it, and I thought it was just really fun to hear, you know, everything from what Alan and Paul are doing with the Tommy gun stuff to the tank that I'm talking about for Greg on tour to, I mean, Jason is just a wealth of information, you know?
Yeah.
I thought that was fantastic. You know, you talk about a 20-hour drive. I just put 3,100 miles on, so I totally understand the long drive, but try to fly if you can. That's all I can suggest. But I will say this, I thought the show was fantastic. Both shows were fantastic, and I really enjoy it.
This is probably for you or Greg, if you can answer that question.
Well, I will address that really quickly. I don't know if you guys know this, but I know that there's been an ownership change in Joe-Lanta. Buddy Finethy has been rather going through some health issues and has sold the ownership to Brett Barton, who is now actually looking at different venues. And I don't know if they're going to keep the same date that they've talked about or if they're going to alternate that date. But I know that the hotel was being real wishy-washy with them about committing to any future date with them. So they're looking at a different venue, and I look forward to being a part of it in the future. So, Greg, I don't know. Do you have anything else to add to that? I think that's pretty much covers it, but say some more.
It's pretty much what it is. That they're looking at another venue because basically, from what I understand, once ownership changed, basically all the contracts that were there were null and void because the contracts were with Buddy and Pam, and now we're with him. And I think he saw that as an opportunity to kind of break away because, you know, Ace can chime in too. October wasn't really an ideal time because Ace had some commitments. I generally try not to do shows in the fall or winter. Steve Stovall had commitments, and so the timing wasn't good, and it wasn't their fault because I know they tried to get it earlier, but that was the only opportunity. But the great thing is you know, Atlanta, it's a big city. You know, there's a lot of places you can move that thing to. So he's got a few months to get out there and pound the pavement. And I think he's already been working on that anyway. So hopefully they do get a little bit early. I love, you know, I'm partially responsible for getting Joe-Lanta back on its feet. But it's just it's never gotten a solid grounding yet. And I'm hoping that they can find me personally, I think August would be good, but that's just me. I don't know how Ace is. I know Ace has season tickets to go see the Sooners all the time. So, but I would like to see it get back on its feet because, I mean, there is a clear identity between Toylanta and Joe-Lanta, you know. And it's not a bad thing. It's just an evolution thing. But, you know, Joe-Lanta, that was kind of the place where everybody went to after JoeCon was kind of shifting their gears over to 3 3/4 inch. All the 12-inch guys went to Joe-Lanta. So I'm hoping for their sake it works out.
And Joe Fest is right in between them two, right? Or no?
Right.
Well, Joe Fest is run by Ed Schumacher, and his show is in June. So Ed's doing his show down in Augusta.
Yeah.
And then you know, my show's in Dallas. Coincidentally, this year we were both on the same weekend. And then Steve's show is in July. And so what we were trying to do was, at least the advice I was given was, you know, Toylanta, Joe-Lanta had always been in March. It had always been a spring break show. I always remember that. And I was suggesting back to the powers that be before Brett was like, you know, maybe look at the tail end of May, or maybe look in August. You know, maybe what is it in May? Is it Memorial Day weekend?
Yeah.
So May is Memorial.
Yeah, Memorial Day weekend. So I don't know. The further you get, you know, for me at least, when you get into October and you get into November, it's mostly family because I have, you know, all my family's birthdays are in there. I'm in there. My son's in there. My wife and my daughter's in there. So it's just kind of tough, you know. But for their sake, they get it going. I love Joe-Lanta. You know, I'll support it all I can.
Is there any any talk of them returning to the Marriott Century Center that has the atrium for the parachute drop?
Every time I've talked to them, and they chime in too if you want to, I think that bridge has been burned, and I don't, I think there were some complications with the swap meet. Some people took advantage of the swap meet and the courtyard area and stuff like that, and it just kind of created a not productive environment. So that was my favorite place. That was the one that we went to all the time and did parachute drops, like you said. But like I said, it's all in Brett's hands now, so I don't know where he's taking it.
Ace, answer that question for Patty, will you?
Oh, well, here's what I'm going to say. I don't really exactly know where our list is for all the G.I. Joe shows, but that is something that I want to do on Vintage 3D Joe. So I'm going to say hopefully soon I will put some sort of a link to all of the upcoming, particularly 12-inch 1/6 scale themed shows. So if anybody has that information, feel free to click on the website and email that to Vintage 3D Joe's, and I'll take care of that by putting up a page. So I will try to do that in the next month. How's that in the next couple of weeks?
Very cool.
Yeah, I know we're running a little long. But I just wanted to say real quick, Joe Fest is really focused on a Real American Hero 3 3/4 inch. And then also, if you're looking for a list of G.I. Joe shows, you can go to hisstank.com. That's like Hotel Indigo Sierra hisstank.com. And that's the go-to forum for the Real American Hero fans. And you can see a list of some G.I. Joe shows, but they're not going to really be centric to 12-inch G.I. Joe like we like. And I would love to see that type of stuff start being hosted on Vintage 3D Joe's now that Ace is on board with that.
Okay, cool.
Hey, we could talk all night, but I have a guest in the green room, and he's charging me by the minute, not by the hour. So I got to get him on. He's not cheap, man. He's expensive. So, and I do have an introduction for him. Hopefully, my internet won't conk out on me. And when it comes to artwork, Jackson Pollock has nothing on this guy. He hails from my state of Pennsylvania, and his entire house is painted black and gold, I'm sure. Tonight, he assures me he won't use words like yuns, jagoff, gum band, and red up. This is the one and only Larry Selman.
Gentlemen, Paulie. Wait, no Mike Langs tonight? Get that dog off my lawn, Sydney.
See, only you and I know what that's all about.
Yeah, that's true. Or we could do one of the Gunner.
Well, honor and a privilege to have you on my show, sir.
I'm very happy to be here with your distinguished panel.
We planned this for about a month or two, I guess. Finally got you on.
Yep.
So
although I
bring you up with everybody else here, and I think you know everybody in the panel.
I do have something about the green room. We had this G.I. Joe cup and cookies that will, work as a doorstop. So you got to work on your green room, buddy.
better
budget.
I got to make a trip to Pittsburgh for that, man.
At least you got cookies. I didn't get anything my first time.
You see the management. You need a better agent, Greg.
We finally got you on, and my internet's looking good. Ace, I think you're the only one that's in and out, but you're still looking good, brother. So
as long as I look good, I don't care if I sound good.
Well,
right?
it's genetic, man. It's genetic, If you
exactly.
Ace is having a good hair day.
Yeah, he is. He is.
Yeah.
It's
no hat.
Here.
No hat either, man.
That's true.
That's right. It really exists. The hair does exist.
It's crazy when I don't see you with a hat on.
I know. I was actually at a show one time and I didn't have a hat on, and someone said they did not recognize me without the hat on. So that was a little bit odd.
So, Larry, I'm going to ask the first question of the night, and I'm going to throw you to the wolves, and everybody else in the chat room is going to ask away, and everybody on the panel. Is that all right?
Fine with me.
All right. So how does one first get asked, or did you go to Hasbro and just say, how does that happen?
How did that happen?
Yeah. I mean, do they come to you? Do you just throw out some pictures and send it to them? Like, how does that get started?
I was already a paperback and magazine illustrator in New York, and my agent, Sal Baraka, had sent out advertising, and I went to a advertising agency in Cincinnati where Kenner was at, and I got picked up for Jurassic Park. Now, I was a Western painter, and all of a sudden I'm painting dinosaurs. Then I went to VR Troopers. Then I was supposed to do Batman. and then I wasn't doing Batman, and it was right on your birthday, you're not doing Batman. Pretty hard to take, but a couple of months later, because we'd had a relationship, I got a call from the art director and said, this was 2 days before Christmas, we're going to try to bring back G.I. Joe, that you have 3 weeks to do a painting. If this works, we're in. So have a nice Christmas. And that's how it got started. So about 3 weeks to do the very first one. And I had zero props, no ideas what they wanted, not much information on the toy other than some sketches from Kurt Groen.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, a lot of pressure. At that point, you couldn't go get like airsoft rifles like you can do today. You don't have to worry about anything. So back then, I had to find a prop rental house in New York, the rifle I needed, and needed to be sent to a gun dealer. I could only have it for so many days, and then that was it. And I'd scrounged up all the other props in a few days. The UPS driver that came to my apartment was the model because I was desperate. So we get
that's amazing.
What year would that have been?
This is how we get this.
What year was that?
90? Probably 95, I think, somewhere around there. 96.
Yeah.
Sounds about right.
Wow.
Yeah. And at first, when we first started, it was just the art director, Kurt, myself, and another guy, I think Bill Hartglass, in Cincinnati. Because Kenner was the one that was doing all the G.I. Joe stuff. So that's where things went. And then slowly you would come in and they would build a lineup. One day I got a phone call and said, "Hey, you got to watch Rosie O'Donnell today. We're on." I'm like, okay, how are we on Rosie O'Donnell? And at the end of the show, everybody who was in the audience got G.I. Joes. So it was really crazy to watch all these people pull out all the G.I. Joe boxes that you'd illustrate. It was a trip. It's pretty cool.
How many illustrations do you think you did for Hasbro over the years? Do you have a number?
I did 125 pieces of art.
Now, how many made it to boxes?
Well, that's the issue. And some of them are stuff that's inside of a box. So like some of the Jeep boxes, there would be different pieces of art for the inside of the box. There's stuff that wasn't produced. And toward the end, a lot of the stuff was in like Walmart and other places. They might only be there for a couple of days. And I wouldn't see them or wouldn't know about it. There's a lot of packages I've never seen.
Really?
Yep.
Wow.
Yep.
Yes.
Ask away, gentlemen.
I was going to say it seems like a lot of the classic collection there's not really a good database online like there is for the other G.I. Joe lines. So Paul is almost like the go-to guy because he has every single figure from that line, but doesn't have the box.
Unfortunately,
boxes.
Yeah. Fortunately, they're out of the boxes, or I did stuff like this and I cut the backs off so I would have them and I would have the write-ups. But
I've known guys to do that. You're not the only one because I know Hasbro has we went to Rhode Island. They had a company video and the classic collection wasn't in the video.
Really?
Nope.
Really?
Wow.
Nope. 8 years and over several $100,000 in profit. And there's not anything about the classic collection in their company video.
How could that be?
Wow.
That's ridiculous.
You asked me. I wouldn't have no idea.
Well, it's kind of always been known that I don't think G.I. Joe is as loved by Hasbro as we, the fans, love G.I. Joe. But, shame on them. And that's on them. So, Larry, I do have a question. Which of the paintings that you have done that that really spoke to you, that you really enjoyed the most?
It's kind of a long list. There's a couple of Medal of Honor recipients that I got to talk to, Mitchell Page and Francis Curry, the Blue Angels, Tuskegee Airmen was pretty cool. The early ones were a lot more special because it's all new. It took me right back when I got the phone call, it took me right back to when I was, 8 years old and I got G.I. Joe for my birthday. It was like, wow, this is a crazy thought, you know. But there's a lot of them for different reasons. The MP one, because my dad was an MP. Tomb of the Unknown, because I got to go into the tomb guards quarters and got to walk out by the mat. There's a couple of Vietnam ones, the Vietnam nurse and the Vietnam door gunner, because a friend of mine who flew helicopters at Yadrang, we were soldiers. He's the pilot. He's a pilot in both of them, Dick Klein. So those are the kind of ones that make me. Oh, here we go. There we go. There we
Yeah,
go.
bring that up.
Oh, yeah.
That's great.
That's right there. My buddy Dick. Yep.
Now, is Dick in the painting behind you too?
No, that's not. He's not. That is the box art for Greg's picture or package of Bill Beck. First Cav, same battle. Dick's flight was B flight, and Bill's flight would have been Bruce Crandall's flight.
Somebody in the chat room is that the painting in Ladrang? Is that?
Yep, that's
saying
it.
that right?
We were
Yeah.
soldiers.
That's awesome. Yeah, I bought that set in Hershey last year. So.
It's one of my favorite paintings. I have and Greg knows this. So we both sort of have the same sort of weak spot for Vietnam. Not weak spot, but it means a lot to us. Right now, I'm working on a picture for a guy who was in VFMA 122 Marine outfit, and it's Marine fighter Phantom pilot. So interviewed him, interviewed his friend Howard. Bob had 300 missions. Howard had 380 missions. Had some pretty cool story. Bob talked to me today about he was flying over Quezon, and they called in heavy artillery, which is the B-52 drops. And as he dropped his load, he turned, he knew it was in his sector, and he turned his plane sideways to look at the bombs drop, and he realized he was in the middle of the B-52 drop. So you're talking about 100 bombs in a small area.
Wow.
Yeah, pretty crazy.
Somebody wants to know about the Czech Jaeger special box.
Chuck Yeager didn't do Chuck Yeager. No,
I think that was Sam Pertucci. I think did that one.
Okay.
So
Larry,
you really,
can you
out of
tell
those
me-
120, 150 boxes, you really have no idea how many actually got out there. I mean,
No, I did an illustration for the grizzly bear. Never made it to the market. Did an illustration for German soldiers. I was told two different stories. It never made it to the market, or that it was produced and withdrawn because there was some cross sell on there. It was wrong.
That's the true. The second is true. They put the cross sell was with an Israeli soldier, so they pulled it.
Yeah, that's kind of what I heard. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
But you hear a lot of stories sometimes, and then sometimes they don't add up, because I listened to Daryl last week, and some of his stuff was completely different, or a lot different than what I was told by the art director on some things. So, last to know. Not important either.
so is your name on each box at least? You don't even know.
Oh,
You
I see.
you get
As a corporate entity, I am not allowed, or it's not allowed to put my name on the box. So what I did was I hid my initials.
In the
So
painting itself?
my initials are hidden on all of the boxes, and they only.
Ooh.
Now I got to go back and look at all the boxes.
Yeah, have at it, man. It was a game for a while because they finally figured it out. The Navy fuel handler, I didn't know where to put the name, the initials. So I put it on the tail number of the plane, and somebody picked it up right away, because there's no initials on a tail number. But I figured most of those guys wouldn't know, but somebody did. So busted.
Wow.
But it was never a problem. They actually kind of thought it was cool to have a game. Where's your initials now?
So did you put your initials elsewhere on the fuel hand, or did you find another spot to put them in?
No. It was already after I'd sent the illustration in. Yeah. The interesting part about the fuel handler was there was a girl, I guess she was a marketer, and I kept hearing that she wanted to put a gun with the package. He needs a gun. He needs a gun. And she didn't understand he just fuels a plane. and then so G.I. Joe, the name G.I. Joe would open up a lot of doors. You would call up the public affairs officer at, let's say, the Marine Corps or the Navy or the Army, and say, I'm working on a project, and here's my project. I'm working on G.I. Joe. And as soon as they heard G.I. Joe, you have much more of their attention, and they're willing to help you because it makes their service look good. And as I explained to them, I want to be able to show you this particular person, like the fuel handler or the Green Beret or whatever we're working on, correctly. I don't have some of the equipment. You do. Can you help me out? Can you give me a soldier for, half an hour? It's great. The Navy put me on a carrier at sea, the Kennedy.
Wow.
Yeah, it was cool.
And how long did you stay on that?
What's that?
How long did you stay on the carrier?
It was just for a day. But I didn't really know I was going. I didn't know I was going on the carrier. I thought I was just going out to the carrier that was at dock, not flying out to the carrier.
They were doing underways. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, so they flew you out on a helicopter and then dropped you on there?
I flew on a 2-engine plane called a COD. Brings in the mail and brings in other Navy personnel.
Wow.
So I actually got an arrestor hook landing and arrestor hook takeoff.
Yep.
That's amazing.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah. But GI Joe opened up a lot of doors for stuff. Like I spent the day with the Blue Angels. They're hanging around, and that's why that picture's so good. And then the next week I went to a show to figure out exactly where everything should be.
So do you take a picture of what you want and then draw the picture, or do you just come up with something in your mind?
Well, it was a collaborative effort between the art director and myself. Sometimes he would have an idea, like the Tuskegee box. Do you remember these guys? Tuskegee guys?
Oh, yeah.
Okay. So he said, I got an idea for this. Let's make a big airfield. So we'll put the two boxes together. Like, okay. So I had to work out all the logistics of how things are going to go and what it's supposed to be, and then find the props. I had a really good friend named Brooks Tegler. He had all the props. He had a lot of stuff from the Tuskegee Airmen. He brought in two guys from the Washington Redskins band, and we went out to an airport, and we didn't have permission, but we're just walking around taking pictures. And finally, they ran us off. But that picture, the Tuskegee Airmen, was in the 100th anniversary flight at Wright-Patterson Air Force Base.
Wow.
Yeah, it was pretty special because they took, I think, 30 pictures that weren't part of the Air Force art program, and that was one of them. So it was a pretty big, gold star for GI Joe.
So when the art director comes in and says, we want a 2-box set thing that you just did.
Yeah.
What's your time frame on that? I mean,
that was kind of tight. What usually happened was they came in with a list, and they'd say, okay, we got these 6 figures we want to do. Here's when they're due. How many can you do? And I would decide, okay, I want this one, and this one, and I'm going to need a lot of work to get, 3 of them. Or they didn't have that much work, so I figured I could do 4 of them. After a while, I was doing all of them. So you did have a time lag, but I was turning out a GI Joe illustration about, I won't say every 3 weeks, but it was closer to 4 weeks, but it's in that time frame. I would work a 10-hour day.
Man.
And then there was a period when they really loaded it up, right around 9/11, where I worked from September 2nd to December 23rd with 2 days off. One of those days was a 1-day trip down to the USS North Carolina, shot reference on the ship, drove back, which was an 8-hour trip, and the next day went back to work. So, it was crazy. Yeah, that was work. At the end, I was working 15-hour days and didn't know it was December 23rd. I was like a wreck, physically and mentally. But, it would have been nice to have a little help, not have to take on so much work. But I liked what I was doing. The art director liked the work, and it was fun. I got to say, there was a lot of cool projects during that time period.
You got a question from the chat room, Larry? I don't know. Can you see that? You want me to read it to you?
What is your entire process traditional? But I'm an oil painter. I'm a traditional oil painter. So I'm either going to paint on illustration board or canvas. I sketch out stuff roughly. It's kind of it's a glorified stick figure. So all you guys who say you can't draw stick figures, if you worked on it a little harder, you could have been an artist, just like me. Okay.
I don't know about
that. Oh, by the way, I'd like to let you know that I sent away all the nude models because this is a family show. Before you got in, I sent them all out. I didn't want you to see my nude models that everybody hangs around the studio with.
Trust me, for as many F-bombs as we drop on the show, it's not a family show.
I work the same way any traditional illustrator did. you work on a timeline. You work with reference. You shoot photographs and shoot lots of photographs for reference. You need lots of information. And before the internet got really big, it was a lot more difficult. And you specialized in stuff. That's why I was like, when I was a Western painter, I really wanted to paint romance. Paid a lot of money, but they find out you paint horses. That's all they give you.
Yeah. You get kind of typecast, don't you, a little bit?
Yep. But that's okay. I mean,
Wow.
Now, Larry, I got a question for you. So you said it was around Christmas of a certain year that you got the GI Joe job. I'm assuming that was probably December 95. So things would be ready for Toy Fair in March 96.
That sounds about right.
Yeah. Now, I've seen the VR Troopers packaging in the Jurassic Park, and that's perfectly like nailed toyetic packaging. But your classic collection stuff is just absolute perfection. It's like these historically significant works of art. They're almost too good for GI Joe. Were you in competition with anybody else, and your paintings kind of blew them away, and that's why they upgraded you from Batman,
the reason I wasn't going to do Batman, the reason they gave it to me is because I had success with VR Troopers in Jurassic Park. They gave me Jurassic Park because they figured I could paint the toy and make it look real, and they had a lot of people who could either paint the toy or the figures, but they couldn't do both. And since I had blown up, made plastic models and blew them up, scaled them all up, and painted from that stuff, it was easy for me. But yeah, you're when you got into the GI Joe part, I treat it more like Western illustration or traditional, fine art illustration, because it was important to me to do. This wasn't fiction. All the Western stuff was fiction. Jurassic Park and all that stuff, all fiction. This is real. These are real people's lives. So because my dad was a soldier for 26 years, I have a pretty good idea what it's like to have someone in the military. And you don't want to half-ass a job with that. You got to come out with, put your best foot forward every time. These guys go out there and lay it on the line, and you should do, show them what their job is like, because people don't know.
So when you go to Hasbro with your final one, say, did you do the John Fox one or Mitchell Page? You said
I did Mitchell Page.
So when you go with your final product, do you say this is it, take it or leave it, or do they say change this, change that, change? I mean, it's too late, right?
Oh no. I do whatever they want. If they want me to make changes, I make changes. But usually by that point, you've turned in a good sketch, and we had a good working relationship. The art director and I, we never really fought over anything. There was only one or two times. I almost got fired once. I was not allowed to use blue on a package. And for 9 months, I was not using blue on a package. And then I put blue on the MP and blue on with the cold water Coast Guard. And he called me up and they want to fire you. And it was pretty mad. And I said, we discussed all this stuff,
Wow.
But no, if they ask for corrections, you go make the corrections. And that's the primary reason it was to my benefit not to do Batman, because of all the back and forth between DC Comics, the movie company, Val Kilmer and his agent, and Hasbro or Kenner. You had to satisfy all those people. And there was a long list of corrections and tiny additions and changes. I had none of that.
Yeah, a lot of cooks in the kitchen. Did you work with one art director specifically, or did you work with several throughout the years? Or
I had two. Jim O'Brien was the first art director I started with way back at Kenner. And then there was another guy, Rob Dubé. He was the last guy. But we didn't really have a good working relationship. Let's leave it at that.
And how about the guy right above you? What was his kind of working relationship? I know you made a painting for him, didn't you?
Who's that? Oh,
that Cotswold guy.
The guy up there with a Hawaiian shirt on?
You can call it Hawaiian if you want.
Yeah, oh, he was Greg was great to work with. He was I sent him a sketch, we talked about it, and he pretty much let me do what I wanted to do. it's nice if you have some back and forth. I don't have any problem with a guy telling me I like this, I don't like that. No problem. I'm a work for hire.
That painting behind you is amazing. I had Mr. Beck sign that too when I was in Hershey last year or year before.
Year before.
Yeah, that's awesome. So, is there any paintings that you gave to Hasbro that you wish you would have done different, or that they put on the box and you're like, I didn't want it to look like that, but it did?
Yeah, there's a few. There's more than a few.
Really? I mean, they can't change it once you do it, can they? Or can they?
Well, when the printing's not as good as you would like it to be, or they crop it a different way, and there were some. Okay, so as things got toward the end of Hasbro, the first 5 years were really the best years, but when we got to year 6, things started to get a little wonky. By year 7 and 8, they were really off the rails. I was getting really short deadlines and stuff that really wasn't. I don't know why they were producing some of it, to be honest with you. I'm like, okay, you got a Marine with a Landsat, basically a satellite radio.
Yeah.
It didn't make any sense to me. And the short deadlines, if you got a little time if the project isn't exciting, then you need more time to find out a way to make that product better, because you've got one shot at selling this picture. This show is what, an hour and a half.
Yeah.
You can pick a lot of things out of it, but the same thing with any kind of movie or a book. I only have maybe 3 pages out of a book, if that. I got maybe 1 or 2 frames out of a movie to convince you to pick this thing up and buy it. So one of the things I would do is go to the toy store and see what my competition was. I think we were talking about that earlier. I want to see who I was in competition with and what were they doing, and what was I going to do to make my stuff stick out better. How could I make my work look better?
You got another question from the chat room, man. I don't know if you can see that.
Wait, I got to cheat now.
No, that's in regards to the creative process, are the toy companies more difficult to deal with than the military organizations?
Yes and no. If I do a picture for the military, for a unit or something, sometimes you get an officer that's has a fixed idea, and you can't get him off the fixed idea, even if you say, look, we could do better than this. Toy companies can be like that too. But I think the real issue with a toy company is that you're working with a lot of people that have all kinds of issues. They have a lot of things in the company. My view of Hasbro is that they're basically a corporate raider. They're not really a toy company. Yep. They're not like Mattel, where they kept Barbie alive and ran it that way. They've bought companies, and put them out of business, and because the toy wasn't any good anymore, or they were just done with it. And the guys don't seem to be toy guys.
Not anymore.
I was gonna say not
for
anymore.
a long time.
Yeah.
Boy, you're not going to get any argument from us on that statement at all.
Stacey,
Larry, I have a question for you. So when you did the astronauts ones, and was that your idea to have the double box go together for that? And did you get to go to NASA, like when you did the shuttle pilot or anything like that?
I didn't do those. I didn't do those, but I would imagine it's the same concept from the art director that way. Okay. Because Jim had that idea for a couple of boxes. He tried to do that for the Pearl Harbor set. You remember the Wheeler and the Battleship Defender? I said, it won't work because it's Battleship and it's an airfield. But we tried to do it on a couple things. And then when I was doing boxes for Brian at the convention show, get one here. I got this one. So you got 2 figures here.
Oh, yeah.
Kind of the same concept.
Yep.
Yeah.
All right. But then we got, you got lots of stuff to work with here. One of my favorite boxes.
Oh yeah. I remember that. Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, it was. I kind of wish had gotten Adventure Team stuff that was more like that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Action Joe Figs has another question for you.
Okay.
What are you currently working on, and have you thought of putting your work in a book?
Buddy Fenethy and I have talked about that a couple of times. And before we get too far away from the thing, I don't forget to go help Buddy out with his medical bills.
Yep, definitely.
Buddy's in pretty rough shape, and he's more like the bionic Buddy as opposed to the Buddy Fenethy we used to know. But as a matter of fact, we're talking about VFMA 122. So this is the VFMA 122 sketch. Okay, that's kind of one of my projects. The other project is a World War II Band of Brothers project, and that's all I can say about it because the client won't let me talk about it. That's their reflection, their issue.
What was your last toy painting project that you did? I guess it would be from Hasbro, or did you do stuff after Hasbro?
Well, it would have been Greg's project.
Oh yeah,
I think that's the last one I did
for a toy.
Yeah.
Is there a place that people can buy your work or buy your prints, or where do they get some of your artwork?
You can go on my website. I don't have any of the G.I. Joe stuff up yet. I keep threatening to do that, but I have to get with the website designer. There's a lot of prints on there, a lot of limited edition prints, but almost everything I've done for the military.
Now, Ace, we talked a couple weeks. Sorry.
No, go ahead.
We talked a couple weeks ago about that certain flood that happened up in Hasbro.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Was Larry's stuff part of that?
Well,
no, I don't think so.
I do know what happened to all that stuff.
Oh, so somebody salvaged it? It's not gone?
It's been sold.
Wow.
I just say it was worse than that.
Oh, really?
Yeah. It may not be nice it may fire me up.
No, I'm sorry.
No,
I was just hoping it didn't get ruined from a flood, but
no, it did not get ruined. I'll tell you the beginning part of it. I won't tell you how the rest of it is. Got a call one day from a guy named Jordan Himbro, Hollywood Heroes. Hey, I got some of your sketches here I sold of Jurassic Park. Oh, okay. How'd you find my name? Or how'd you sell my Jurassic Park sketches? Well, he told me. And he said, I sold a bunch of your Jurassic Park stuff. It's really valuable. Do you have any more? I said, no, well, I have some stuff around here. So what about G.I. Joe? Oh, yeah, we sold a whole bunch of G.I. Joe stuff. Did you really? So what'd you sell? So he started naming this stuff. I said, George Washington? Yeah, sold that. Sold D-Day. Sold Tuskegee Airmen. And at that point, my blood pressure was probably about the temperature of mercury.
Imagine, man.
And I said, what about the Blue Angels? Oh, yeah, we got $5,000 for the Blue Angels. It went to a guy in Texas. Like, great. That all that stuff was stolen. What? Yeah, stuff all comes back. It's industry standard to return artwork that's no contract for. I said, I signed a contract in the year 2000. All that stuff predates 2000. So all that stuff's not yours to sell.
Wow.
So I guess somebody puckered up. But, the issue is, do you want to go and try to, go find it? And it's not really it's not worth the effort. It's not worth the time and effort to go track stuff down. You just have to move on. Sometimes in life, you just take your beating and move on.
Yeah, it's probably better to let sleeping dogs lie. But that guy had a TV show where he was trying to bring toy collecting to the masses. And I remember there was a specific episode where he was rummaging around in somebody's attic in Cincinnati and found unreleased prototype toys of Jurassic Park. So whoever's house that was probably had something to do with it. But I have hypertension issues myself. So I don't want to get you going, Larry.
We're going to change the subject here.
It's okay.
3.75 Deep Dive asks, any artwork for personal gratification, or is it all business?
My Vietnam stuff is personal gratification. I'll go paint a landscape just for something different or fun. But Vietnam means a lot to me. So that's my personal gratification.
You keep them, or do you give them to people that served in Nam? Or
I do them because I'm interested in the people. Briefly, when my dad was assigned to Hawaii in '67, we went through San Francisco airport. I remember the hippies. And they were yelling and cursing at us. And I never forgot that. And the Little League coach is on the wall. I met a lot, been a lot friends with a lot of Vietnam vets. One of my best friends at the YMCA where I go to the gym is, F4 pilot from Vietnam, and good people. So I'm working on this painting. It'll be a painting of the VMFA 122 mission scramble at Da Nang. Also started working on a video. I talked to Howard and Bob, and going to make a little video, and then Sergeant Van's going to give me some music. So a little plug for Sergeant Van there.
Absolutely.
Yep,
Yeah.
yep. That's cool.
So that's
So
my
you did
personal-
the one G.I. Joe, the guy standing by the Vietnam Wall. You did the.
Yep, did that one. I think it's around here somewhere. Where did I put it?
Yeah, I thought I had that one too. I don't have it in my stack here.
I guess it's downstairs. I brought up a bunch of stuff here, but I don't. It's not around here.
Do you have any favorite childhood memories about G.I. Joe? Like you said, when you were 8 years old, when you got your G.I. Joe?
Yeah.
Is that the one?
Yep.
Well, that painting's Lee Teeter. I did the insert for the box that lit up.
Yeah,
that's
the box
Lee.
that lit up.
Yeah, the box that lit up, the G.I. Joe wall picture. That painting's by Lee Teeter.
Oh, okay.
Okay, but when you press the button, you remember when you press the button, there were a bunch of images.
Yep.
Came up. Yeah, those were my images. So,
wow.
Favorite memories from when I was a kid?
Yeah, with G.I. Joe or other toys.
Space Capsule, Frogman, Deep Sea Diver, Green Beret, the Marine in a Dress Blues. Those guys. They were, all the early stuff. Because when we got to Hawaii, a massive Army base and all kinds of stuff to get into as a kid. I found slot cars. They had a slot car, big giant slot cars. I don't know if any of you guys had that stuff. We got into that. I got into plastic models. So, a lot of different stuff.
There's another question from the chat room. What's the biggest size painting you've ever done?
It was 7 feet long.
Wow.
Did a big World War I picture to put in the American Legion of horses, troops going past. I think it was a first ambulance in there and some other stuff, some trucks. It was a big picture. Yeah, it's called Remember Me. We did it for the 100th anniversary of World War I and the fact that the Legion was started by World War I vets.
Yeah.
Yeah.
How much of your stuff do you think is hanging in museums versus on the boxes of Hasbro?
I have some stuff in museums. I have stuff in a Western museum, stuff on a lot of military bases. When you do a commission for a military, it stays there with the company or the battalion, brigade, division, whatever. I've done regular work for the military. I've done classified work for the military. So it stays there. You should know, we had paintings and boxes and artwork down in the Pentagon. Big display was down there at one point. And there was a bunch of Navy stuff. And one of my, the fuel handler box was in the front room of the Secretary of the Navy for a while.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's cool.
It was pretty cool.
That's really cool.
Yeah.
That is cool. Well, we're at the top of the hour, gentlemen. That hour flew by. I can only afford Larry for an hour, so.
Are we playing trivia now?
Oh, we're definitely playing trivia. You're not getting out without playing trivia. I mean, that's the whole reason Greg Brown came on the show tonight.
Oh, see the trivia guru?
You see that noggin? Look at that noggin, man. He's got all kind of braids stuffed in there, man.
Is that right?
It certainly isn't me.
Hey, she did pretty good on the last time, didn't you?
All
right. Well, I was gonna make tonight's trivia on artwork, but you'd be the only one out of this group that would probably know any of it. So I just went with the general random trivia. Okay, true or false? Okay. Yep. Stacy, we're gonna start with you. We're gonna work our way around. Larry, you'll be the last one.
Okay.
Round one, gentlemen.
True.
Stacy, you're up. On November 17th, 1981, approximately 30 million Americans turned in their televisions to watch Sarah Ferguson and Prince Andrew wed. True or false?
False.
False? That is true.
Yeah.
Sorry.
That's true.
That's true.
Was it 80? I thought that was Diana.
Yeah.
Diana was later. This was 1981.
Yeah, I was thinking it was a trick question, and it
Yeah, I
was
did
Charles
too.
and Diana.
Okay.
Sorry.
I'll take the loss, sir.
Mr. Brown, you're up. The nickname of the fourth ghost in the Pac-Man is Clyde. True or false?
True.
It is true, sir. Yes. In 1982, there were an assassination attempt on President Ronald Reagan. True or false?
True.
That is true. Ace, you're up. In 1982, Reverend Sun Myung Moon married 2,075 couples at Madison Square Garden at one time. True or false?
True.
Yeah, I remember that. Do you? True.
I do. I was the last one. I didn't quite get married that day. They couldn't find a girl for me that day.
They couldn't fit you in the door, man. It was packed.
No, it's too full.
Larry, your question here. In 1984, the G movie rating was first introduced. True or false? The G movie rating.
False.
That is true, sir. I'm
Oh.
sorry. Yeah.
In
Round two.
1984, it was released.
That's what them internet say. I'm just going
I
by-
thought
That's
PG.
bullshit.
Well, I thought PG-13 came out in 1984.
Yeah, man, I'm with you.
we
And
can
quit
check.
getting your
He was-
trivia off of Wikipedia, man. Come on.
I thought so.
Yeah.
I go to an 80s website for this. In 1987, Halley's Comet passed over the United States. True or false, Stacy? Stacy, you still there? Stacy, hello.
He's dumbfounded.
Thinking.
Oh, he's thinking or he's Googling? He's Googling that shit.
Still here. I'm still here. No, I'm not Googling. My hands
It's
are
a
right.
1 hour show.
I'm going to
Stacy.
say
It's a
true.
1 hour show. It
I
is
said
true.
true.
Yes. Good one.
True.
It-
True.
It is true. Yes, you are correct, sir. In 1980, the Oprah Winfrey Show first gained national syndication. True or false? In 1980. Mr.
False.
Brown. That is false. It was 1986.
Yeah, she was in Chicago first, and then she got syndicated.
Yep. Mike, in 1988, the Berlin Wall officially fell.
That's going to be false.
They got true in them internets.
In 88, I thought it was 89. I don't know.
Dude, you got to get off that Wikipedia. They're giving you crap info.
Okay,
You know,
my magic box says the G rating came out in 1968.
Thank you.
that must have been the PG-13 rating that they were talking about. So
Yeah.
You know, Mr. Brown, I can just do this to you. And,
It's okay. I'll go over to Ed Chad's channel.
you know, I can't remember where I left off. All right, number 9. So that would be Ace.
Yep.
Who was up? Ace.
I'm up. I
The
got my phone
USSR
ready.
had the most nuclear weapons at the beginning of the 1980s. True or false? Russia had more weapons.
I'm going to say false.
That is
That's
false.
true.
USA did. USA had more.
Yeah.
No, they
we would've had
didn't.
More.
You guys got to watch that documentary on
China?
Netflix
China
about the
did?
Cold War, because the U.S. was going down, and at one point it was like 39,000 nukes with the USSR, and we only had like 20,000 nukes.
With
Still not enough to kill the
Still not
world
enough.
4 times.
Yeah, because we had Star Wars.
Larry, right?
Yes, sir.
Magic Johnson won the 1980 NBA Rookie of the Year award. True or false? Larry Bird.
Larry Bird or Larry?
I mean, no. Magic Johnson. I was looking at Ace, and he's like, Magic Johnson won the 1980 NBA Rookie of the Year award. True or
Why
false?
don't you ask me a hockey question? How about some baseball? No, ask me a sport I don't watch. Or tennis. I don't watch tennis either. I'm going to say true.
It is false. It's Larry Bird. I gave you the answer, man.
I think
Back to
this game is
Stacy,
rigged.
last round. Brooke
This game
Shields
is
is
rigged.
associated with the controversial 1980s Calvin Klein advertisement. True or false?
True.
That is true.
Mm,
Sir.
mm.
Comedian Eddie Murphy set himself on fire in 1980. True or false? Was that Mike or is that Greg?
I think the original order was Greg.
Okay,
but-
Greg, that's you then.
That's the question again.
Comedian Eddie Murphy set himself on fire in 1980. True or false?
No, that was Richard Pryor.
It was Richard Pryor in 1980. You are correct, sir. So who's up now?
I think it's my turn now, and then
Yeah, this turn.
It's free base.
MTV Television Network began operation in 1980. True or false?
I'm going to say false. I believe it was 81.
It was 81. CNN started in 1980. Muhammad Ali, boxer, retired in 1981. Ace.
That sounds about right. Yeah, I'll say true.
It is true. Yes, sir.
I thought it was 84.
Last question. Larry, bring it home, baby. You ready?
Yeah.
Apple Computer Company released a personal computer in 1981. True or false?
False.
That is false. It was IBM. You are correct. IBM. So, well, I want to thank everybody in the chat room. Sorry I didn't get to a lot of the questions. I know we were trying to keep up with everybody, and the internet didn't crash too much. So, Larry, I'm going to bring you up big. If there's anything you want to finish off tonight's show with, if you want to talk about a website you have, maybe some way people can get in contact with you, possibly when your book's going to come out on all your prints, you can talk about that.
Well, it's been a pleasure. GI Joe has been a great thing for my career, but it's not all of my career. And I want to say I met a lot of great people, and you guys are part of it, and fond memories from this. And if you want to go to my website, it's larryselman.com. I'm on Instagram. It's Larry Selman Art. And if you have any questions or anything, just go ahead and contact me through either one of those two, and I'll be happy to help you out.
Very cool. Thanks again, Larry, for tonight.
Yep.
Don't forget, next week we have James D. Simone on. Everybody have a great week. As they say in Mexico, AMF.